All right. How we doing? All right. Welcome to the 2025 Basecamp final pitches. This is our fourth year doing this, so our fourth cohort through Basecamp, and we're excited that you joined us to hear what they've been up to these last 5 weeks. But before we dive into their pitches, some of you have heard this before, but for those of you who haven't, want to run through real quickly, what is Basecamp and what have they been up to? So, anybody recognize this? Everest. So this is Basecamp at Everest. So what is the purpose of Basecamp at Everest? The goal is to get ready. Yeah. Get ready before a really long, cold hike, before you do something really hard, absolutely. And so is it easy to get to Basecamp? Not at all. It's a lot of work to get there. But once you get there, you're just getting ready, getting organized, getting prepped, making sure that you have the tools, the resources that you need in order to be successful on this journey that lies ahead. And so that is the idea of this summer accelerator that we've been working with our teams. We also we have to make an acronym out of everything. So it is also building and accelerating student enterprises. All of the groups that you'll hear from are either current students or alumni, recent alumni. A little bit more detail, it's a 5.5-week accelerator, so it's pretty condensed, where we invite, we started with 5 teams. We've had a little bit of attrition through the process because it's been a tough journey and life happens. But we take these teams and we work with them very closely on an individualized basis, pair them with mentors that can meet with them each week. We also bring in a bunch of guest speakers that are subject matter experts to guide them through their journey, again, equip them with the various tools that they need to be successful. Each team also receives a $5,000 stipend that they can use to invest in their business. They can also use it to live and make sure that they're able to stay focused on their businesses. So they've all been putting those funds to work, trying to test their assumptions, grow their businesses, mature their companies to the point that they're ready to take off for that long, cold hike of entrepreneurship. So it started, we say it's 5.5 weeks, but it really starts during the spring quarter with a pretty grueling application process of 3 steps. Then the teams that are selected move into a bunch of pre-work over the summer where they meet every other week with one of the faculty advisors. And then we had a kickoff weekend, bring them in, get ready, get everybody excited. And then each week, the goal is that we introduce a concept and then build on that throughout the week with a variety of guest speakers. And then at the end of the week, they develop a plan of how they're going to go implement what they've learned over the 4 days of the weekend. So we meet in person Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday through Sunday, they're out working on their business, testing those assumptions. And so you can see some of the different themes that we introduce with each week building on the next so that they're just scaffolding those testings. And now we finally get to week 5, which seems like not a very long time, but for our students, I'm guessing it feels like it's been quite a while because it's an intense process. We also try to make it as much not like school as possible. They do enough school, and so it's very hands-on, workshop-based, and you can see some of the different places that we've been. We got to get out to Access Mode, a local accelerator, meet with some of their entrepreneurs, and again, bring in a bunch of other experts. So a lot of hands-on work that the teams have been doing. Additionally, we've brought in 20 different guest speakers to work with our startups over these 5.5 weeks. And some are faculty, some are alumni, we have investors, we have entrepreneurs, and then a variety of other experts in their fields just coming in and again, equipping our entrepreneurs, everything from how to manage life as an entrepreneur, how to go through that process where it's lonely and hard, to getting ready to pitch to investors. We've done pitch academies with Rocky's Venture Club. We've had investors come in and talk about what is it really like on their side of the table as you're hearing these pitches. So they've gotten a lot of hands-on support over the 5.5 weeks, and it all culminates today in what is a celebration. The goal of today is to highlight the work that they have done, to celebrate that, and then for them to look ahead, take a breath over this Labor Day weekend, and then dive back in and start that cold hike on the path of entrepreneurship. So with that said, I'll get out of your way so you can start hearing from the people you really want to hear from. So our first presenter today is going to be Sean with Vivid Day. Sean, come on up.
Got a clicker. Cool. What's up, guys? How you doing? Okay, all right. All right, so hey everyone, my name's Sean O'Connor. I'm the founder of Vivid Day, where you get answers from real students rather than college brochures. Right now, families are making one of the most important decisions of their lives, investing tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars without the truth. And the truth is simple. College brochures and websites only tell students what they want to hear. They don't share what the student experience is actually like. And as a result, 1/3 of all college students transfer schools before they graduate, either because they change majors, the financial situations, or they get stuck in various social environments. And 5 years ago, I was one of those students. And I did everything I could to make the best college decision. I compared schools online, I met with advisors, and I went on tons of college tours, as you guys eventually will do. And I ended up going to Indiana because they just had this beautiful business school with this Center for Entrepreneurship, which was something I was interested in at the time. And I guess I still am too. But I wasn't like most students, I wasn't a direct admit into that business school. But I decided to go there because the school was telling me that once I enroll, it's a really easy pathway to get into that business school. But what they didn't tell me is that they were telling every other student the exact same thing. And so as I came to enroll in my classes, I was competing against 20,000 other students, all fighting for 15 seats in a class. And so as I began to transfer, how could I not help but wonder how could I have avoided this? But but then it hit me. The college search is broken. Colleges are incentivized just to get students in the door, rather than share what the actual student experience is like. And it's that gap, that lack of transparency, that pushed me to build Vivid Day. Because one of the biggest decisions of your lives shouldn't be made in the dark. And so Vivid Day, we bridge the gap for allowing prospective students to ask current college students any of their questions and get personalized, high-quality video responses back. Similar to how Expedia revolutionized how we search, compare, and book travel, we're making it super easy for students to compare colleges from an academic and a social lens. Save time because they get all the information they need at once. And lastly, I think my favorite part is current college students make money for responding to requests. And I went out and talked to 200 high school students, their parents, and current college students. And because I wanted to find if their current frustrations match my assumptions for the need of current and accurate information. And what I found shocked me. When I asked them what their biggest frustration was, or what they would fix about the college search process, 72% said that they were starving for more transparency with both information, cost, and honestly, they just wanted an easier way to search and compare colleges. And so you just get this overwhelming sense of frustration in the entire college search process when you're in those interviews that I just had to ask them one more question before I left them alone. And that was, if you could just click a button and ask any current college student your questions, would that make it easier to learn about colleges? Well, it turns out 80% of all respondents said yes, absolutely. And to date, we've signed up 2 high schools who saw this as a necessary tool to distribute to their students when they're on the college search process. And with 30 active college students, we've fulfilled 123 requests. And now that we kind of have our feet running a little bit, there's 15 million high school students in the US, with 2 million that actually enroll in college every year. And so our go-to-market strategy is to reach 30% critical mass in the demand side of our marketplace in Denver. And then once we hit that, we'll do the same thing at every new city that we launch at, one at a time, until we launch in roughly around like 100 new cities, where we'll capture 10% of all the high school students enrolling in college every year. And what we offer them is a service-based bundling package where, with the more questions that you ask, the bigger discount you get. And so for $20, you get 5 questions. For $40, you get 10 questions. And to put that in an example, when we reach our market share, the 200,000 students that use Vividay, let's just say that they only have 5 questions, the base level pack. Well, we'll reach $4 million in gross revenue, and then we'll take a 40% commission. Now, there's a handful of resources that students can use when they're on the college search journey. And that's primarily because over the last 80 years, the amount of universities in the US has nearly doubled, or more than doubled. And when you combine that with the rise of the internet, as you all know, it makes the access to information a lot easier. However, these resources offer very general information and reviews. And the problem is they lack accurate information and are influenced financially by university marketing. And this creates platforms that are not personalized to the student. And that's how we fit in this gap perfectly, because we personalize that search. And we also give them vetted college students to ask questions to. And this is what we built. We make it super easy for students to search colleges and compare them, because they're able to watch previously uploaded video responses and step into the shoes of a current college student, daily life, which you could never do before. It's pretty cool. But anyways, that's got distracted. But when we succeed, students will have peace of mind, because they're able to make informed decisions. And there will be a reduced amount of wasted student debt. And right now, the decrease in trust in higher education will start to turn into an increase in trust. But that's all I'm asking is one thing of you guys today. So if you know anyone that is searching for colleges, high school seniors, parents of students, or if you can give a warm introduction to college advisors, have them just scan this QR code, share it with them, have them ask any question that they have about the college experience, and we'll get a personalized, high-quality video response from a current student. And I thank you so much for your time today, and let's empower students to make informed decisions through the real student experience. Happy to entertain any questions now, too. So. Right now, just scan the QR code.
Repeat the question.
When will this service be available? Right now. So it'll take you to our landing page, and then the full product will be released in the next week or 2.
So what's your cost of acquiring a customer, both on the student side, well, I guess they're both students, the prospective student side and the existing student side?
That's a great question. We've been testing a lot of different distribution methods for the demand side, because that's the really hard part about our network. We found that for the supply side, it's really easy to put a booth on campus and just recruit students because you're paying them. But we've been testing different distribution channels for the demand. We haven't found one that's stuck yet. Okay, so right now, how we're planning on market adoption is actually through partnerships and events. This is our next step. We tried digital ads, selling to schools. Those things just weren't quick enough with growth, and so these are the next steps that we're trying. So making partnerships with high schools and college advisors, and honestly hosting our own events as well. And then supporting that with content marketing. And this is really an industry that we can grow our word of mouth. Once we get a handful of users, we can give them some incentivized referrals to really just spread it amongst that college-bound community. Oh, hey.
Say you weren't able to find the QR code, right? How would you find it? Would it be a website or an app?
Yeah, so you can currently go to vividay.org. So if you want to go there, it's vivaday.org.
Is it available with like every single college in the country and even other countries?
Yeah, that's the beautiful part about it, actually. That's a good question. So we leave it open. We're going to go we figured out a pretty good system that we can go to any college campus and get current students to give a question. And so we let all the requests come in, and we go out and find students from there, vet them, and then get you that response as quickly as possible. Oh, Isaac, yeah.
So quick question around how you'd be getting these answers, right? So if the
Sure.
college student is going to be the one answering, what stops them from giving a lackluster answer leading to maybe burning a question of your 5 and having to like get clarification?
Yeah, so to just rephrase your question just for the audience, so what maintains quality of the video responses, essentially? Is that kind of what you're asking? Yeah, so we actually have a rating system. So the student that asks the question, the high school student, prospective student, when they get the video response, they rate the system. And so over time, if a student ever has if a current college student is just not answering them thoroughly, they're going to have a bad rating, just like Uber, right? Like Uber, you don't want an Uber driver with a 3-star, you know what I mean? 3 out of 5 star. So it's the same thing in our system, and that has maintained quality. In the early days, we implemented it because we were like, that's a 1 out of 5, you know. And so that was a year and a half ago, though. So we've learned from that. Yeah.
How do you vet students, basically? So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. It's an interesting question because we go to college campuses, set up a booth, right? So there are a lot of random college students. I think that's actually the best part, though, because how we vet them is first through their university email, and they have to put the university ID in as well. Yeah, so all this vetting system. Make sure that they're all current students as well. There's no recent graduates on the site as well. It's all current students. Yep. Yeah.
So while you're on the subject of student responses, inevitably there's students at any school on any campus that drink the Kool-Aid, love it, they're all for it. And then there's others who expected that experience and don't get it. And so how do you strike that balance and give the true transparency that you're promising? Because your brand promise is transparency, but transparent to what?
Yep. So I think that's actually it's an interesting question because I actually think that that's the best part about our platform is because you get the negative reviews. You get the negative reviews about a school, but like let's say you have a student that gives a negative review. You can find another student at that school and get a different review as well. You can make a request for that as well and make sure that that is actually the experience that everyone's having. But there is some features that we plan on rolling out that actually will have the whole community either upvote, downvote certain responses to just kind of vet whether those responses are the most accurate amongst that college community. So those are rolling out.
I think we've got time for one more.
I'm wondering how you settled on the name of your company and how you plan on sharing with the market what the name has to do with the product.
Sure. Yeah, so that's actually a great branding question, something I was asking myself this week when it was brought up. But I'll give you the truth on how I settled on this name. So this idea started as just day-in-the-life videos. But after talking to customers and all that stuff, it turned into what it is today. And when I was settling on the name, I was thinking, day in the life of a college student, okay, all right, that. And then I was like, daily life doesn't sound cool at all, you know? And I was just writing them out on a piece of paper, and I was learning Spanish at the time, and viva means live in Spanish. So live a day, viva day, viva day, you know? It just rolled off the tongue, and I was like, you know, I'll go with it. And it sounds amazing. But presenting that to the market, yeah, that's a branding thing, and we'll use video content actually to share that with the audience. That's really, I'm a film major as well. I graduated 2 years ago, and so that's a really strong skill set that we can utilize to getting the right message across to the customer and just growth.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, this was great.
All right, thank you, Sean. Excellent job. And thanks for the fantastic questions. All right, so up next we have Jacob and Peter with Loracle. Come on up.
These things do work. Can we move over the screen a little bit, Patrick? Does the screen move over just a tad? Okay, no worries.
Hello, everyone. When you're working on solving a problem, how do you know that your solution is correct when the solution to your problem doesn't exist? Now, I know that may seem like a weird question, but I was in this exact position years ago, well, 2 years ago, as a graduate student researcher here at the university. Simply put, there were things that I didn't know while studying my thesis, and I couldn't just look at Google. So, what do you do when you don't know something? You find someone who does. In my case, you find an expert. Now, that's a bit more easier said than done. People are very hard to track down. If you want to find someone, you really have to search for them. You have to scour the internet, sift through directories, and even find people on LinkedIn. Now, after my exhaustive search, I did find experts that I could consult with on my thesis. And I just kind of chalked up this inefficiency to something exclusive to academia.
Now, originally, my co-founder Peter and I suspected that this problem could be one limited largely to academia and Peter's role in general. However, as a matter of due diligence, we ended up surveying 500 other people outside of academia in 5 different categories, including legal, medical, corporate, headhunting, and media. And what we found is that everyone in all these areas requires experts, sometimes more than others. However, there's inefficiencies in all of them. Now, we personally, after scouring our data, really narrowed down on litigation services for 2 reasons. Primarily because litigation services, finding expert witnesses, is a complicated search problem involving juggling admissibility in court, hourly rates, location, and compositing that and forming an opinion that matches what you need for your caseload. In addition, the current process is costly and time-consuming, which oftentimes makes a situation where finding the right expert can be prohibitive for certain caseloads. Now, the numbers are pretty clear. Out of the around 200 lawyers and paralegals we have spoken to, 93% interact with experts in some sort of way, and most of the times when they outsource this task, it takes 4 days for a large report to come in, which then takes hours of both lawyer and paralegal time to scour through and see if these results are even useful for them, often leading to repeats and costly overlays of time, as well as another round of search.
Now, our solution to this problem is quite simple, but our execution is a bit more sophisticated. We first start by aggregating information from across the internet, including paid and proprietary databases. And then we rank that information based on its integrity. Then with our knowledge pool, we form user profiles that we can then load into a vector database, which is a structural organization that can be used to map people and their connections. This is all nicely dressed within the conversation of an LLM to make it seem like you're having a real conversation with someone, not an interrogation. All in all, this allows us to pair experts to users based on their unique constraints. And this is where our solution, Loracle, comes in. Using a familiar chat interface, a user can enter their prompt in addition to filters and their unique constraints to find an expert. They make a request, we make a response. Now, our competitors fall short in a couple of categories. First, we have JurisPro and other expert witness directories. These are paid services, however, they often have the reputation of having hired guns. Then there's LinkedIn, which is very popular, but all the information on the site is self-reported and thus unverifiable. And then we have ChatGPT and other mainstream large language models. However, they're simply too generalized. When you generalize an approach to something, you lose the detail that can truly excel your pipeline. In addition, they treat people as information. And this becomes critical as LLMs have the current problem where they will mix people up based on similar name. But the far more egregious of the problems is that LLMs have the ability to hallucinate or make up information. And in this field of study, you simply cannot have that.
Now, it's pretty easy to understand this market. Overall, across the world, $400 million is spent each year just on the search process. This doesn't include putting lawyers on retainer as well as experts. Now, additionally, it's good to cut off the top end and some of these extra features a lot of our competitors offer that aren't really necessarily pertaining to the goal of search. And that really brings us to 1,000 users we're aiming to get by the end of next year. These are our core market base that we plan to pursue with a $30 a month subscription for unlimited access to experts. Now, in the last 2 months, we've finally reached the stage of our product rollout. Right now, our product is up online. You can use it and try it out. And new features are rolling out by the day. We have 72 active users, and we have 53,000 people in our database, which by next week, we plan to expand to 1 million. And our North Star is to getting to 100 concurring users, people coming back in our target demographic and really find real value out of our solution. Now, we are hyper-focused on expert witness search. However, it is important to take a time to take a step back and really examine the bigger picture in terms of people search is a real universal issue. And if we can solve this complicated and tricky problem of finding the right expert witness, we can figure out how to bring the right person in front of anyone across the world. And so it's about time we introduced ourselves. You heard our names before, but again, I'm Jacob Broussard. I'm on the business side, and this is my wonderful co-founder, Peter Stam, on the technical side. And so join us today, help us change how we find experts, but we actually have a little ask of you guys in the audience. We're not ready right now for pre-seed money or any of that. What we do need is you guys in the audience to do a little people search for us. We want to be put in touch with these people. We're looking for litigators, people in medical malpractice, anyone really encountering experts a lot, and the associated paralegals. If you know anyone, we'd really appreciate if you scanned this QR code and answered a quick survey and gave us a warm introduction. Thank you. Now, questions? Go ahead. We'll get you a microphone, hopefully. It's coming around.
So it's a little bit of two questions, but they rely on both of them. How do you make sure, like, it's easy to understand, because obviously it's complicated questions that they're asking for, but to break it down, you can't. Sometimes you need a whole, I don't know, lecture or whatever. But they can't type a whole lecture, and this will be in complicated words because they're from like litigators who are actually experts. So how do you make sure it's simple enough for other people to understand?
Peter, would you like to answer that?
So based on our website, what you saw here was more, the demo that we showed was just the chat interface. There are different panels that you can expand that help with filtering. So instead of typing out all of this complicated jargon, you can just click simple filters like, where's my location? I'm in Denver. What am I looking for? I'm looking for an internet expert. I'm looking for, a patent law expert. So depending on how granular you want to be, that's up to you. So we have different tools built in depending on your level of expertise. If you're just a basic user where you're like, I just need like a legal professional in this regard, like I just want to kind of talk to someone who's an expert in this field, you can just type it out. But if you want to get very granular, very in the weeds, you can filter by education level, the domain. Are they government? Are they academia? Are they industry? So it really all depends on the user.
Okay.
So you said that you were going to expand 53K to 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan on doing that?
Our plan right now, we source from various databases. So depending on the database that you tap in, there are tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions of people. So right now we're looking into the healthcare space. One of the use cases that's very popular with trying to find expert witnesses is actually medical malpractice. Because before, at least in the state of Colorado, before you can even take that case, the lawyer has to have a doctor look over the medical malpractice, and they have to sign off on it. So right now we're filtering through a lot of healthcare databases to find doctors, and they have millions of professionals nationwide. So. Oh, okay.
I'm just curious. You mentioned, like you said, the medical, so healthcare, legal, and then do you hope to expand into other areas? And the reason I ask that is I'm an educator, and a lot of times teachers need experts and people with a higher level of expertise than their own to kind of help educate students, and especially have students who have, a drive to get into something more complex. I'm just wondering if that, is something you foresee, or if you could speak to that at all.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I really appreciate it. And so in the matter of wider uses of experts, our tool actually does do that. If you want to just find an expert, you can go ahead, but it might be kind of overqualified for that task, because you'll get a lot of information and it'll be highly distinct, which if you want to use, it's totally good. You can sign up for the service. But that's a longer term future, because like I mentioned earlier, if we can really solve this tricky problem, there's a wider application towards how people meet others and whatnot. And so does that do a good job of answering it? Appreciate it. Oh, yes.
How do you make sure that these people are experts, because if they're just in a database, how do you make sure that that database is reliable and not outdated?
So it really comes down to where you're sourcing the data from. A lot of the databases that we're pulling from, for example, the US Patent and Trademark Office, that's updated monthly on their active lawyers and patent agents. Another academic database, for example, is ORCID. Researchers have that. There's also last seen features on different databases where you can filter out, okay, this person's in our academic database, but they were last seen 10 years ago. We probably don't want to pull that person. We want someone who has been active within, let's say, the past year. You can also filter by academic publications. So when was the last time they published a paper? If they published a paper, earlier this year, they're probably still active in the field. So it really just comes down to the data source itself. Some are more reliable than others, and then also just digging into what they call metadata, the data within the data of, okay, here's a professional. How professional are they? How active are they?
What is the incentive of the experts? They're probably very busy, and so how do you incentivize them to either, like he said, come to the classroom, or respond to the post that will take a quiet while?
Well, thanks for the question. This really touches why we're on expert witness search, because experts do get paid, and oftentimes the retainers are other $400 all the way to $20,000 an hour for these really expensive cases. And so experts actually want to be advertised. Currently on a lot of the services out there, like say Juris Pro or Seek, they pay upwards of $500 to $1,000 a year just so they maintain their presence on these directories. And so a lot of people are really happy to be paid. There's a more tricky side to it where a lot of times you're really finding a niche expert, and a lot of people want nothing to do with lawyers. I'm sure the reason why is pretty obvious. But if you reach out, like most lawyers do, and you give them a money incentive, oftentimes people do respond.
My question is, how are you gaining access to all of these databases? I imagine that's probably expensive. There are, fees to access that data. So what's your process and what's your business expense on that?
So a lot of this data in terms of people advertising themselves for expertise is publicly available online. People like to make that known. And there's a lot of ways to really extrapolate expertise based off online data. You have Google Scholar, people's histories of work employment and whatnot. And there is a paid data component that eventually we plan to reach out, where you have a lot of case law, which you can cross-reference and do some more interesting searches. But for the time being, we're really relying on this free data.
So I guess kind of a follow-up question on that then. Once you start to get into databases that maybe you have to pay for, how would you deal with maybe the legal side of producing that information that you're getting from these paid sites and then basically handing that out on your platform? I just feel like there's probably...
I can answer it. So the data we're talking about is US court data. Some states have it out completely for free. Others, you have to pay for a request. You don't need to buy all of them for our use case, and they are publicly available. There's a whole legal lawsuit of making them entirely free currently going on, but we won't see how that resolves for a couple of years. And to really narrow down into your area, This data is like totally fine to be viewed by the public. It is public information. It's just you have to go behind a paywall for retrieval.
We've got time for one more.
Specifically for medical, I was wondering, is there anything that would prevent you because of HIPAA regulations?
Well, not that we're aware of. We're really pertaining towards just finding the experts for these malpractice cases. And so once you establish, like, say, a client relationship as a lawyer, then you as a lawyer would need to comply. But our service won't put out anything that is like unable to be shown to the public.
Well done. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause. All right, and Duncan and Rix, thank you for joining us. I know that we have to head out, but really appreciate you being here and for all the wonderful questions. All right, while we're making that transition, we will welcome up Harrison for our last presentation with Stage Ready.
Awesome, thank you. All right. Great job, guys. That was awesome. My name's Harrison Tarr, and I'm the founder of Stage Ready. With Stage Ready, you can turn any space into a stage. So, I'm a musician. I'm in a couple bands. I do all the managing for these bands, and I am a full-time student in the recording production field at Lamont. But I hate booking. I hate it. It's terrible. I can spend months planning an event just for one miscommunication to turn the whole thing on its head. And this made me realize it's not a people problem, it's a broken system. So right now, organizers face some issues. They're using Instagram DMs, email lists, and vendor lists to basically reach out to musicians, then vetting them by looking at their previous demos, past performances, just to have a little bit of confidence in booking. And on the flip side, musicians have it no easier. Booking and marketing is tough. And most musicians spend their days reaching out to venues, cold calling, expecting information in return, or they'll use their friends to refer them to artists, or hire a manager. Currently, there is nothing that exists that simplifies booking for live music. There's nothing that connects venues to musicians. Why is that? Well, with Stage Ready, we're looking to solve that. Stage Ready is the easiest way to get in touch with local musicians in your area. Stage Ready allows organizers to connect with a vetted pool of musicians, diverse pool of musicians, and allows musicians to basically create their own business and doing it in a sustainable way. You may ask, how does this work? It makes no sense. Well, if you visit stageready.live, you can sign up today, browse our amazing pool of over 35 plus musicians, and book today. Once you book, you are basically, you wait until the musicians confirm, and then there you go. You did it. You booked your first band. Great job, guys. So what happens is, day of the event, the organizer and the musician are both sent a pin. This basically confirms that the musician and the organizer are at the event, which in turn processes our payments, which means we don't have to have a bunch of money overhead. After a gig, musicians and organizers are prompted to review each other, creating a sense of transparency and trust on our website. Currently, or last year, there was 2 million live music events booked in the US alone, with DIY venues becoming a soaring trend. Websites like Eventbrite and Bands in Town posted 4.7 million events in 2024. When we dove deeper into this data, we found that 1.5 million of the 4.5 million has to do with live music. So that's our addressable market. So let's talk about goals in Denver. What we're looking to do is create a list of about 67 partners. In doing so, we can get about 2 bookings on average a month. That leads us to the 1,600 figure. 1,600 gigs a year just in Denver. We charge a 10% booking fee on top of the musician's agreed rate. So, the average band in Denver for about 2 hours of playing time is $500. 10% on top of that is $50. That's our average fee. Multiply that by 1,600 gigs a year, and that's $80,000 in revenue just from a booking fee. Not to mention our optional sound production. After conducting primary market research, I basically found that providing professional sound to musicians and event organizers opens up opportunity. It allows them to make live music accessible for all. And that's what we're doing. So, I'm trying to hit the ground running and create an audience. I've already got a festival planned for the start of next summer. And in doing so, we're hoping to basically gain exposure, sponsorships, just collaboration with the community in general, and also book. We're going to book everyone on our platform. And the next couple of weeks, we're starting Stage Ready showcases. These are local, free concerts showcasing our talent and what we can do, how we can change the community with live music. I'm partnering with North Star Gatherings and D3 Arts to provide local talent coordination for the next 3 months. And I'm hoping to learn a lot and get lots of great feedback that will go into iterating my product. So what makes us different? Look at all these guys. The difference is we care about the musicians. The difference is we care about connection. There's too many middlemen in the music industry. And we want to basically take away all the fluff and provide easy connection. We do this with AI matchmaking. Our search system utilizes AI to basically take the headache out of booking. You answer 4 questions, and you're provided with the top 5 local musicians in your area that identify with your needs. Also, we're the only platform that offers full service options. So, we handle discovery all the way to audio production for your next event. Over the past 4 weeks, I've had the amazing opportunity to talk with 50 musicians and 50 event organizers. And in doing so, I learned that I wasn't alone in my struggles, with music. And not just musicians, event organizers too. With Sydney at North Star Gathering saying anything that can save my clients' time sourcing vendors is invaluable to us. With the average wedding clients choosing from 14 different vendors in one wedding. So what I ask is you to book with Stage Ready. Whenever you have an event, keep us in mind. All you have to do is pick a date, find an act, and we handle everything else. If live music isn't your thing, just make a warm intro for me. Connect me with someone who likes live music. Also, I'm a little new to this space as a music student, so if you have any grant resources or business accelerator programs, I'm always here to listen. There's one thing we've learned today, is that booking live music just got a lot easier. So, take a picture, scan the QR code, send it to a friend, do whatever you need to do to get this out there. Because now you can turn any space into a stage with Stage Ready Live. Thank you, guys. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them.
Start you off with a hard one.
Oh, okay.
How do you prevent people from going around your service?
Circumvention, that's great. So we actually offer basically booking insurance because of our PIN system. Whenever an event organizer and a musician pull up to an event, they exchange codes, just like Uber. So it provides security in pricing, and what I'm doing is valuable. Like, the average event organizer spends 5 days just from the start of their search to confirmation for a band. With Stage Ready, you can book in a day, instantaneously. So circumvention is definitely a risk, and I think I have it covered, but it's something that I really need to be aware of going forward. So I appreciate that.
You said that, this is fun. You said that you plan to vet the musicians. How do you do that? And do you have a plan to vet the bookers or the venues?
Yes. So currently, I onboard every single musician personally. I am the admin of the whole entire site. I basically work with musicians one-on-one to create marketable profiles, because that's something I noticed musicians struggle with. As far as vendors go, yes. Right now, our website is kind of musician forward on the profile side, but we're looking to expand to venues so that when musicians get rated by venues, musicians can also rate the venues so they can have transparency on their side as well. Thanks.
So then, I guess scaling that, right? So if you're the admin there, do you plan, I like the idea of like having musicians vet musicians. Would you use other bands to like do that? Like, how do you plan to maybe go about that?
Yeah, so right now, I really want to focus just on the Denver music scene because it's very fragmented. But the way that I have it set up, musicians basically walk through a full template, inputting all of their information, and then I can just sit there from an admin portfolio. So I can work with them remotely if I want, and definitely like hire, I'm looking to basically hire other people in the Denver music scene that are community focused. They're the ones that are hosting the jams, they're the ones that are putting in the effort to make the scene. And I feel like if there are gonna be people that I'm gonna take on to do that role, it will be those kind of people. So, but scaling is somewhere that we're not at yet. It's definitely something that we can do. I mean, the whole reason I started this is because my amazing girlfriend over there, she's from Nashville, and you want to talk about a music scene? Oh my gosh. I'm from Nebraska. Like, I've been playing in bands since I was 14 years old, and I know you say that. The Nebraska music scene is amazing. It's great. It's tight-knit, and it's supporting. They don't discourage new musicians from entering the scene. So I hope that we can deliver that need for Denver and then replicate that city by city to make music more accessible.
Who would you say that your competitors are in the Denver market?
So in the Denver market, so competition in this space is very interesting. Right now, the biggest opportunities are only presented to kind of the biggest buyers in a sense. So the average wedding band gets paid $4,300. Most wedding venues have lists of people. Then these bands actually aren't real. They're management companies. They're talent pools of musicians. They're basically talent agencies. So they're depriving the music of its culture, basically. And the thing about my competition is, local musicians' average rate here in Denver is $150 an hour. These Diamond Nation and these bigger kind of musician conglomerates, their average rate is about $10,000. So I'm basically trying to connect these event spaces with local musicians because they're missing out. They're missing out because, first of all, that's ridiculous. $10,000 for a band. I don't care what you're playing. That's insane. At a local level, to me. And local musicians deserve those opportunities. They're the ones who are putting in the work day in and day out. So I'm trying to connect them. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. There are a couple sites that do exist that try and act as a middleman, but you can get anything from live music to a clown to sword swallowers. They don't have a focus on live music, and they're not doing it at a local level through community. And I am the only platform that exists right now in the booking industry that's musician first.
Got time for one more.
I'm wondering how you're thinking about genre. So like, is there a way to sort of intuitively match venues with particular musicians of particular genres? And like, what do you do if, I don't know, everyone that comes to you that wants to sign up is part of like a jam band, right? But you need to like kind of have different categories sort of filled and maybe balanced. Is that kind of what you're thinking
For
about?
sure. I mean, definitely going into it, I do need liquidity on both sides of the market. So that's my main goal, is to build a very diverse talent pool right now. But the way that our search system works is we basically have different weights for each category. So availability is the strongest weight, about 45%, and then genre is 25%. So we already have all the genres built into the like AI search filter. And when musicians join, they can choose basically whatever genre they're looking for. But I have been struggling to find a certain type of musician. And also, musicians are just, they're creatures of the night. They are all over the board as far as, you know, just what they are, you know, how they hold themselves professionally. Like, I noticed half the musicians that I've interviewed, they're gigging 3 times a week. They don't have any professional photos at all. So I really want to make them aware of how to market themselves, but I also do want to provide opportunities for a diverse active talents. And I am very interested to see like what places want, you know, what kind of music. Like, are you gonna book only country acts? Are you gonna book only folk acts? You know what I mean? So I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But thank you for the question, yeah.
Awesome, thank you, well done. There you go. All right, excellent job. So you guys go and grab chairs. So at this point, we're gonna transition to a quick panel conversation where Elisa, one of our faculty advisors who's been working with our teams all summer, day in, day out, is going to do a quick panel. So come on up, and you'll get to hear a little bit of their story, reflections on going through this process.
Thanks, Sean. I'm just gonna let everyone get comfortable. So, welcome everyone again. This is an exciting community, and thank you so much for your presence, for your continuous support. I bet the guys experience your excitement and interest, which is a big deal, honestly, because this is a big day for all of them, for us as well. And it's nice to have such a diverse crowd. A quick statement, by the way. So it's interesting because demo days are a big part of the entrepreneur's journey, but they're not really, they don't perfectly show what the founders have been doing. Because they're just to show the shiny presentations, the pitches, the perfect products that are already out there, the confident founders, but they don't really just showcase the whole journey that they've been going through, the sleepless nights, the constant pivots. I bet you can relate to that. The doubts that really make them wonder, should I quit, should I continue, what's really going on? And this is exactly what we will be trying to dive in now. Over the next 20 minutes, we will try to really get into their journey and focus instead of what they've built into who they've become as founders. So, you guys ready? How do you feel? Okay?
Yeah.
Relieved?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you should have probably seen what all of us looked like last night. It's probably not this, you know?
Yeah, it was exciting watching them grow too, so we're all excited to watch them. Okay, well, I'm gonna jump into the first question, and the first one is, I would argue that every founder has a superpower. I'd like to see it's their individual niche edge, and I'd like to hear what you guys think is your edge, your superpower. What did you discover about yourself? Well, whoever wants to start, please.
Oh, I'm on the spot now.
Yep.
Well, I'd say I'm quite good with difficult people, and then thinking differently in terms of, you know, just being accurate on, I guess, my assessment of the world. that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we did like quite a bit of like self-assessments kind of regarding that. And I learned that my number one was judgment. And I'm starting to understand that a little bit and like the real implications of, you know, that strong suit and what I'm doing, because on one side, you know, I'm doing this out of a deep hatred for the music industry and the way that things are right now. Like, don't even get me started. But on the other side, I do think that there is just kind of a disconnect, and you have to find like the in-between of your judgment, you know, and that's been a really hard process for me. So, yeah.
Would you say you found it?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Peter?
Oh, I mean, I would say, I think I genuinely love learning. So anytime like you're cast into a situation where you have to learn a lot of things, it's overwhelming, but I think it's very rewarding to be like, okay, I have to do advertising. It's not necessarily a task, it's a learning opportunity. Where now, okay, I get to learn how to do advertising. This is cool. I get to learn how to do Google Analytics. I get to learn how to do this. I'd say it's just very, very rewarding, because at the end of the day, it's kind of this positive feedback loop where I want to learn more, and then that rubs off on what you're doing, where, you know, especially with computer science, which is where my background is. It's just constant, I want to learn more, I want to learn more, I want to learn more. And then, you know, I just wanted to do my bachelor's, and then I somehow ended up, you know, completing grad school with the thesis. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. I just wanted to program games when I got here. I didn't know I'd be doing artificial intelligence stuff. So I think it's just learning how you frame the scenario, I think, is a huge thing, from I have something I need to do versus there's something I can learn.
Nice, thank you. Sean?
Yeah. Is this on? Yeah. All right, cool. I'd say like my big superpower is probably it's a combination of two things, but ability to take risk, and I like learning. And when you combine those two, pretty dangerous. But if I were to like relate it to like Basecamp, like every week, it's kind of like John stated in the beginning. Like we would have like we would learn some stuff like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we would present on like our strategy like going forward for the next week until Monday. And then on Monday we would present on the results based on those 4 days, like solo, just like going out there hustling, making it work. And like there's, especially in those first, every week, it doesn't really matter, but in those first weeks, like it's just like tremendous amount of stuff that like you're running blind, sort of, because it's all new to you. And so like you're just learning as you're going. And just like, and also you're combining it with like really risky things, like in a normal sense. But yeah, so it's just like, I like doing that stuff too, and it pays off when you're on entrepreneurship.
Thank you. One word I bet you all heard repeat a lot is learning, and I would testify you've learned a lot and grown a lot during this 5 weeks. But growth requires a lot of sacrifices and a lot of unlearning things that you used to believe are true, probably not always. And my next question is, what was the hardest thing that you had to unlearn during this program to become a founder?
I'm really stubborn, so like that was probably the biggest thing that I had to unlearn, because when I'm like wrong, it's hard for me to be wrong. So I dealt with that a lot. You know, this whole experience is just like, you know, we'd have weeks where I thought my entire world was just like crumbling apart. Oh my God, my value proposition, it doesn't make any sense, you know what I mean? So it's like learning how to navigate that has probably been the most like useful thing I've gotten from that, because you almost view yourself differently, you know? Like you don't trust yourself. And we even talked about that with, I don't know if Derek's here, but we even talked about that, like your emotions and kind of not recognizing them as your emotions. And, you know, this has taught me a little bit about that, so.
Biggest thing I had to unlearn. Well, all right, so I've been running Vividay. I just went from an idea. It was just an idea, like it was a little different than these guys. These guys just came into Basecamp with an idea. I was already running a little bit, running blind. Just a year and a half ago, I just started executing on the idea, and I tried certain things to get in front. Like, it's a two-sided marketplace, right? So you're trying to fulfill the supply and demand at the same time and get this flywheel spinning, which is a really difficult thing to do out of all types of companies. And so, like, over that year, I figured out how to get, like, one side of the network, but not the other side. And I had all these strategies that I was, like, like I was trying so many different things just to get found by the right customers and stuff like that. That, like, by the time I got to Basecamp, where a year and a half later, I was kind of set in some ways that I didn't want to try certain strategies, just because of, like, previous experience, previous results, like they failed or something like that. It's just like constant failure in like trying to solve one thing, which is like get found in my case. And so, like, actually now, like, it was over the last 2 weeks, I actually was just like, damn, I'm wrong. I should just, like, I need to retest these, like, channels, but with a different approach, kind of. Like, because I come from a sales background. I did a bunch of door-to-door sales, so, like, all I want to do is sell. And so I'm just trying a non-sales approach for these channels, essentially. But I had to unlearn, like, just acting like I'm an expert almost, and kind of go back to, like, the beginner mindset a little bit, which sometimes you can just get naive when you put so much work into something.
I think for me, it was waiting, just based on, you know, my academic experience and prior work experience. It was mainly me just waiting to get tasks. It's like, okay, I'm done with my work. I just wait for the next thing to happen, whereas in entrepreneurship, you have to be very proactive. It's almost, if you're not proactive, you're getting behind. Like, if you have time, it means that you should be doing something else. I found that when I'll get everything done and I feel like I have free time, I just remember that there was something that I missed. And so it was something that I really had to unlearn, of just kind of sitting, waiting around, waiting to get orders, and just being more proactive and starting to, I guess, give myself orders and, like, setting expectations for myself, not just, you know, in software engineering, you have, like, the issue board. Well, in this, like, I'm writing the issues, I'm assigning them to myself, and then I'm completing them myself. It kind of sounds like an inside job, but it's, you know, I have reviewed myself, and I think I did an amazing job. There's no conflict of interest. But it's just really being self-disciplined and just being proactive, I'd say.
Well, I would say I'm quite a cerebral person. I really let my thinking guide me to places. And so really coming into Basecamp, when you're working on validation and trying to pin down reality so other people can see it like you see it, has been a thing I've worked on and really gotten better on over time. That's about it.
That's good. Oh, just keep it. I have more questions. Yeah.
You just handed me something. I got it.
Yeah. So I believe Sean mentioned that we had a session with Derek Pilling over Tuesday, or or Harry. Yeah. But so for all of you, on Tuesday we had a pretty mind-challenging, I would say, also eye-opening session with Derek Pilling, talking about the mindfulness and basically just a little bit going into mastering yourself as a founder. And the guys each defined their understanding of what success is, and I have some follow-up questions for each of you there. So I'll start with Peter. Peter, you said that success is about learning and not just achieving. What is one lesson, you tackled this, but think about it again. What is one lesson you've learned here that actually felt bigger than, you know, hitting a milestone?
Bigger than hitting a milestone? That's a hard question. I would honestly, because there's, like, so many milestones that I feel like we've hit. I just think we've learned so much. It's really, I'd say it's just kind of the compounding effect, where there's no, like, I did this, I did this, I did this. For the majority of the time, you're just, in my experience, having negative thoughts of, oh my gosh, I have this to do, I have this to do, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And then finally when you're done, you just kind of take a step back. You're kind of reflective and you're like, I actually did a lot. And I'd say that's more rewarding because there's really no milestone. It's just the journey. Like, I often find the journey more fulfilling than the destination. You know, you get to the point and it's like, well, you know, I remember when I was, you know, staying up. I remember when I was waking up early, you know? And just looking back on that, I'd say that's more rewarding than necessarily the milestone. It's just kind of looking at yourself where you were and where you end up.
Thank you. Yeah. Jacob, you're next. You define success within just one simple word, agency, and that stuck with all of us, actually. As you've been going through Basecamp, when did you feel like the sense of agency? Like, where was the moment when you realized, oh, I'm steering this now?
When I got the check.
Fair. Want to comment on it, or just?
I mean, I'd say, you know, most entrepreneurs aren't necessarily entrepreneurs because they're so much better at things than everyone else. It's more that maybe they're a little unemployable because they like to do things how they like to see it. And so, at least me personally, you know, I'm looking for success. It's not necessarily, you know, the end output, because that's, you know, you achieve it and, well, then it's there, but more as, you know, how fast did you spin the flywheel and, like, did it explode? And if you can get to a really high speed and even a really catastrophic explosion, at least it was quite big and worth looking at.
Good. Thank you. Pretty deep. Harrison, you're next. So your answer pointed out that success is very personal and subjective, and I agree with that. But as a founder, how do you separate your own initial definition of success versus to the definition of what your mentors, peers, or even what social media tells you the success should look like?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I mean, I always feel like ever since I was conscious, like success has been put onto me in a certain way, you know? It's like, oh, you know, I grew up performing, so it was like I sang the national anthem at the College World Series, and like I was always these massive things, you know, and it ended up getting to the point where I'm like, I'm not actually doing these things for myself. So I think that for me, what success looks like is more like abstract and more about kind of consistency, like consistency with your emotions and consistency with how you handle yourself, and consistency like following up with all these like amazing people like Chanel, like, oh my gosh, like Eric, geez Louises, like there's all these amazing people in here, but like when you're riding success like this, it's hard to, you know, keep consistency. And I feel like when I'm the most successful, I'm the most consistent. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. And Trump, yep, he already knows. Yeah. So in your definition, you said you're successful if you're the best in the world in something. Now, if we
I didn't know we were doing this.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah. Now, if we're zooming out, does being the best in the world mean being recognized by everyone, or being, you know, is it enough with being recognized by the right small group of people, say your customers, who think you are the best?
That's a loaded question. But like, I feel like if you're, as long as like, I don't know, I feel like if you're the best in the world something, as long as like, not as long as, but like, if you're the best in the world something, at least the community that you're in, like, they know that you're the best. And it's not that they know you're best, it's just that like, you've done your time, you've like focused on every detail, like just to the nth degree. Like I don't know if you guys know surfing at all. I brought up surfing, but like how many in the world like know the best surfer of all time? Like Kelly Slater. I mean, maybe you guys know him, but like the amount of people that know who that is, like, but he's the best in the world. You see him out in the water, and he just tears it up. Sorry. Hopefully there's no HR. But yeah, it's like, if you're the best in the world, I guess for me it would be like, at least anyone that goes through the college experience would know that like Vivid is the platform that they have to use, and it's the only one platform that they would go to. And if we get there, and what it takes to get there, we would definitely be the best in the world at that. And why wouldn't you want to be the best in the world at what you do? Like, if you're the best doctor in the world, like, you can have the coolest things to do every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have the coolest opportunities because everyone wants to go to you. And so, like, let's say you're the best surgeon in the world, like, you have the most interesting surgeries. And if you're a doctor, like, that's interesting to you. I'm not a doctor, but, like, you know, at least for, like, entrepreneurship, like, yeah, like, why wouldn't I want to ball out on every level? Yep. You know, and in order to get to every level, like, I have to be able to compete. I don't just start in the NBA, you know?
Yeah. Good. So you want to be the best for the experience and not, yeah, good, worthy. For the experience, not for the glory. I appreciate that. Now, you think this was a loaded question? Here's another one. No, for all of you. Just think about it. So, founders here knows your ideas, probably needs a pivot. In other words, we hear that your baby is not pretty enough all the time. But then, what is one piece of feedback that you heard that you almost ignored, but then now you're glad you listened to it? And this is loaded because some of the mentors are sitting in this room, and we're gonna know like if our advice was being loaded, or not.
I can start. I had this one day. I think it was the second week or something. Maybe it was the third week. One like in the middle of it, and like. I really thought I was trying out a lot of new stuff. Like this base camp, I was doing a lot of new marketing stuff, and I had no exposure to marketing. And I was trying a lot of these new things, and I really felt like I was getting it. And also, I was honed in on like my investor presentation, which you guys heard today, but it's not what happened at week 3 or week 2, whatever it was. And like it was that Wednesday, where we're presenting like everything that we're gonna do for the week. And so the morning we had like. Some investors I actually really respect, I've known for a couple years, come in, and then, like, my entire presentation, I thought I killed it, and they just tore it apart, like, ripped it apart. Every detail, every slide, they're like, delete it. Just delete the whole thing and start over. I was like, what? I was like, why didn't you say this over the last 2 weeks? Like, are you kidding me? But anyways, and then that was just the morning. That was, like, before 11 a.m. And then the afternoon, like, I presented on what I was going to do, and like I said, I thought I was learning like marketing and I had the right approach for the next 4 days. Nope. Like psych. Everyone's just like, I don't know, it's just like, you didn't think this through, the details, I was like, what are you talking about? Thought it all through. And then by the end of the day, I was just like, what is going on? But then I went and sat in the massage chairs in the gym for like an hour and doing some music. And after that hour, I was just like, oh, they're right. Like everything I did was wrong. It's just like critical feedback. It's just like a lot of negative feedback that like, it's just the right feedback though, So it's just like, lose the ego and just. And so then I stayed till midnight that night, just working on stuff. And then every day the next day, I had no clue what I was doing. And I felt 2 weeks behind. And so for the next. Yeah, I stayed, I don't know how sane this is, but I stayed here until from like 7 a.m. to midnight every day, and then till 2 a.m. Sunday night. So, but I figured it out, like by Monday, the next presentation, so I solved it. So that was cool. That was cool.
Mine's like the inverse, because I had a lot of people basically trying to tell me what to do. Like I had musicians basically telling me, oh yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. It's never gonna happen, but it's cool. And part of me like wanted to agree with them because it's like I had people say, oh, you're David and Goliathing the music industry. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm like standing up for injustice. And it's hard as well when you have, like for me, because my thing is kind of in the music industry, I feel like it has been weird because it's such a disconnect from, a lot of the people that are coming in maybe don't have, a lot of kind of experience in the music industry, but their experiences still came through in a way, but sometimes I couldn't listen to them. Like I didn't listen to some of, the mentors that we had, and I, took certain things, didn't take certain things. I didn't listen to some of the musicians I talked to because I didn't agree with them. So I think it's discerning what you want to listen to and what you don't, because if I listened to what everyone told me, I wouldn't do anything, you know what I mean? Just like a blank canvas. Okay. So, yeah.
Thank you. Guys, do you want to add something?
I mean, this is kind of embarrassing, but in the beginning, I naively thought, since I was more responsible for the technical things, like I would mainly be doing the technical things. And so Professor Rossi was like, Peter, you should be, a bit more familiar with it. You should be doing some of the things. And I'm like, nah, like I don't, I'm the programmer. Like I'm doing that. And I quickly found out, I'm like, no, like you need to be learning, like you need to be involved in what's going on in the business. You need to be aware of every single thing that's happening. And even sometimes, like if you're not responsible for business stuff, if some of the things need to be done, you need to be able to, in a way, like cross departments. I don't know, I kind of thought of it as a sinking ship where, you have all the holes in the boat and, you have the one person who's, having to go through, fill all the holes. And then there's me, it's like, well, I'm the bosun. I don't fix the holes. I just direct things, Whereas, in a lot of situations, it's all hands on deck. And so it's like, if this needs to be done, it needs to be done. Like, might as well get it done, So.
Yeah, that's an option.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question, and I'm mindful of time. I'm just going to ask one sentence answers only, very short, sharp. But imagine you meet yourself from May when we were just getting started with the program. What is one advice you would whisper yourself before the whole journey started? One sentence.
Go to bed earlier.
Okay.
I would say just be more open-minded about change.
Just get ready. It's
Get more, spend less time on the boat. Yeah, I was a boat captain all summer, so maybe like spend more time doing some prep work. I kind of crammed it all in a week-ish before.
Thank you. Yeah.
And,
No procrastination.
That wasn't good at all.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you. That was like more intense than probably the base camp. No, I'm just kidding.
Good.
I'm kidding.
Good.
But
Thank you.
Anyways.
Great. So as you could notice, like all of them have very different backgrounds, different perspectives, different paths to success. And by the way, none of them are coming from business background. I think with this, what you're walking away, I guess, is like they're very different, but one thing that they have in common is they have sharpened founder instincts. And I would say that is our definition of success at Basecamp. So we're proud of you guys. Good luck to your next journey. Please stay with us for a one last final conclusion ceremony. And we're ready to network right after. Again, round of applause to you guys. We're proud of you.
All right, well done. You're officially done with Basecamp. Congratulations. Before we hand these out, I want to recognize a couple of people real quick. So first off, Ashley and Braden and Alyssa, thank you for organizing. If you were one of our mentors or guest speakers, stand up real quick if you would. And then finally, if you have already been through Basecamp, if you're from the prior Basecamp cohorts, please stand up. Thanks for coming back and supporting. And finally, thanks to Professor Ross, who has put in a tremendous amount of effort to organize this event, all the speakers, all of the details. All right. So here we go. Sean O'Connor, congratulations. And a little swag.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Jacob. Congrats. Peter. There you go. And Harrison. Congrats, man. Congrats. All right, so we have Maria Empanada's Insomnia Cookies for the Sweet Tooth, beer, wine, and seltzer. So please stick around, chat with our entrepreneurs, and mingle with one another. Thanks so much for being here.